So guys, hello everyone. See, today we're continuing to explore the topic of why yes, answering this question of why many people behave like Biorobots. A lot of people ask this question, saying something like, they're not real, they don't have a soul, and so on. But I categorically disagree that 90% of people are bio-robots, just a lump of meat, and that's it. See here. I want to keep explaining why something is up, why's up with these people here, or maybe what's right with them Z, or why they act the way they do. In the previous video, we talked about what physical influence these people are under a meaning. First of all, parents' influence, C, then environment, kindergarten, school, the media, C, basically. The entire social program places pressure on a person's soul starting from birth and shaping the correct way of thinking so that he becomes a cog in the mechanism of this dark system C, so that they raise that very bio robot say that. That's the first thing we covered. Read today. Though Avuga will go further into the deeper layers, Z if previously we only looked at the tip of the iceberg. Now we're getting to the part that's underwater, specifically parasites of consciousness. Oh yes, I know, many people don't believe in parasites of consciousness. In my understanding, these are things like larvas, entities, basic forms. We'll discuss them, all sorts of jellyfish, all sorts of octopuses, and more advanced larvas of artificial intelligence. See, basically, a fully formed AI that somehow resembles a real consciousness free controlling, well, the human consciousness. And today, we're going to talk about how they influence us. If you think all of this is nonsense, feel that you don't believe in any larvas, in any parasites of consciousness, then let's move away from the esoteric angle for a moment and just look at the same concept from a physical perspective. Steve, physics tells us that parasites are real parasites. You've probably heard about them, constantly see about how to get rid of parasites. It's the usual worms in the body, for example. Parasites make us crave sweets. People who have, for instance, Lambley or some other parasite in their body, they start craving sugary foods, you see, because parasites feed on sugar shrubs, they feed on fast carbs. They then release certain substances and practically force the person to say, I want something sweet, let's go eat something sugary. So that's the principle of how parasites work. So you understand. The parasite wants something from you. It needs you to eat more of these carbs, these quick carbs, so it starts influencing your brain and your consciousness. Even though it's something simple, a mere bacterium like Lamblia, it can still affect your nervous system. And you think, this is my desire. It's not the parasite that wants its eats me who wants to eat a chocolate bar or sweet tea with 10 spoonfuls of sugar. Understand, see if an ordinary worm like thing can influence your consciousness. Why do you think there's no such thing as a parasite of consciousness that can influence your thoughts, the Z that can affect your mind, Z while you simply given thinking, oh, that's me, V, that's my desire, I want that chocolate, so I decided to argue with Bezier, I had that thought, those are my feelings. In reality, if a common, simple parasite in your liver can push you to eat chocolate, making you believe it's your own desire drawer, let's look at a different example. You might say, alright, craving chocolate is trivial, so what? That doesn't really affect where I go, what I do, my way of thinking, my actions, etc. But consider another physical example. Toxoplasmosis V, it's an illness that cats carry. If I remember correctly, idea is that cats get infected from mice, which get infected from who knows where. See it. It's that typical cycle. A cow eats contaminated grass. Something develops inside the cow, the parasite passes on, etc. See in general, from one host to another, from mouse cat, from cat to person, and so on. Let's look at how that parasite, Toxoplasma, which lives in a mouse, operates. But it doesn't just say to the mouse, hey mouse, you want chocolate. This parasite practically forces the mouses to run up to the cat and throw itself right into the cat's mouth. A mouse normally knows a cat is its enemy and that the cat will just eat it. So survival instinct tells the mouse to run away. But Toxoplasma compels the mouse to run toward the cat, else basically offering itself to be eaten. Then the cat eats the infected mouse, and the cat becomes infected as well. Do you see what's going on? The parasite travels from host to host. Why am I telling you this? So that you realize there's nothing especially woo-woo or mystical here still, because if we see it in the physical world, why do you think it's impossible in the energetic world? All these larvas, these octopuses, jellyfish, etc. that we're about to discuss are exactly like those parasites. They're an energetic reflection of the same thing. They spread and multiply in the exact same way. Following a standard survival scheme, but we'll get to everything step by step. First, let's do a fair analysis. See, for example, if we see a physical parasite saying, go eat chocolate, because the parasite itself feeds on sugars, how does an energetic parasite do the same thing? Because negative emotions are what it feeds on Z, that's how it gets its nourishment. It's fast carbs, Z. Here's the deal, guys. We all know sugar is harmful, Z. It's not really good to eat only sugar. Likewise, we know negative emotions are not the kind of feelings we actually enjoy, Z, that bring us, well, let's say real fun. We don't want to feel anger, jealousy, depression, depressed, tears, etc. Yes, there might be people who get some weird buzz from negativity, but for most of us, it's not a pleasant state. If you ask someone, do you love depression? They'll typically say, no way, that's absolutely not for me, Seher. If it were up to me, I'd never feel depressed at all. I think that's the majority. So, but precisely this parasite of consciousness that is latched onto a person feeds on such emotions. That's its food, the negative energies. For that parasite, negative emotions are like a fast carbs. So it obviously wants you to stay angry or depressed or jealous, because that's what it consumes. And many say, oh, these jellyfish, these parasites, they latch onto people to clean them. They're like cosmic garbage collectors. If a person is awful, throwing negativity into the world, these parasites show up and gather it all in. You should be grateful to them that they're sitting on you. Say, are you serious? You should say thank you to the nasty worms in your liver, the ones forcing you to eat sugary carbs, making you gain weight. That's good. According to that logic, let's say thanks to all worms and breed them inside our bodies. Obviously, that's nonsense, etc. Let me explain. If the parasite feeds on negativity, it's going to provoke you to produce negativity or to manipulate your consciousness so you get angry or depressed or jealous or something else like that tree because it wants to eat. So, but you don't want to feel those states, because if you truly were that horrible person they claim, you wouldn't be trying to get rid of these states. A genuine moral monster might actually enjoy depression or constant anger. Yet when you talk to people who regularly experience it, they say, I'm so tired of this, I want out of these states, but I can't, I don't know what to do, I'm sick of living like this. That's what a normal person says, but some claim parasites are the good guys, and the person is morally bad. It's twisted. It's like blaming the victim who's being devoured, telling them they should feel guilty for not making their liver sweet enough for the parasite to see. It's absurd, Caesar. So anyway, let's keep going. So you understand the principle, or that octopus or larva or whatever we call it operates just like the physical parasite. Tato, go eat chocolate. Or go fall into a depression. Sec, go pick a fight with Vazia. That's why I always say, watch your thoughts, because they might not be yours. Ask yourself who's telling you these things and why. Every time you hear that voice saying, Vezia is so bad G you should argue with him, that might be the parasite, not your soul. These are just the howls of that energetic leech that's attached to your subtle body's wanting to feed. Wanting to feed. Every thought like Masha is terrible Bobimbi Masha is basically some parasite shouting, hey, I'm hungry to feed me. That's all it is. And when you accept it, saying, Wes, Masha is awful Zai, I'm going to fight with Vezia. You're simply nourishing those creatures. You're not doing anything else, see? And then you say, these are my thoughts, these are my feelings, that parasite is part of me. So when people ask, why can't I get rid of them? Why can't I rip off that larva or that octopus plugged into me? The reason is that every time the parasite says, I'm hungry, feed me food, pick a fight with Vasha, envy Mosher, you answer, Wes, that's me, sure thing, I'll do it, bot. You keep calling it yours, your pet, so you try to chase it away, but you also keep feeding it. That's why it stays. Many people come to me and say, Nandezda, I've got so many attachments. These larval entities, can you tear them off me so I can be free? Okay, you tear them off, toss them away so, but it comes back a day later. It just crawls back and says, Hey host, I'm hungry. And you say, Oh yes, dear friend, come here, let's feed you. Because you're used to fighting wife with your wife or your friend or your neighbor. Come on, let's bicker again. Let me feed you, my poor little parasite. That's exactly how it works. So the first rule, if you really want to get rid of these creatures, just stop feeding them. We say, there's no food for you here, we get lost. Monitor your thoughts and emotions. Ask yourself if what you're feeling or thinking truly belongs to you. See whether the things you do are really your own desires. Because going back to the question of these supposed 90% bio robots, so well, there you have it. These are people who feed these creatures. That's something I wondered about from the time I was around 14 or 15 CEO. I'd get on a bus and see a crowd of people, each being devoured. This is some gigantic entity on each person's back, feeding away. I'd get so upset, Cedric. How can this be? How can any random being from who knows what dimension just open a portal and hop in here, devouring a random grandmother, and she doesn't even notice? And that grandmother is sitting on a bench yelling, Masha and Petya and Sasha are all jerks, screaming about how everything is awful Zezu and she has no clue she's feeding some entity, letting it manipulate her. Meanwhile, the entity understands everything. It's operating according to the principle of free will. If a person finally says, That's it, I won't feed you anymore, Vryo, you're not welcome here. Say I reject these depressed thoughts, this negativity, I get out. Then it has to leave fit because it can violate free will. So in practice, 90% of people are depressed, miserable, complaining about how awful life is while continuing to stroke these parasites they carry, feeding them. Yes, 90%. They're upset about everything, stuck in depression. Nothing satisfies them too, but huge, fat creatures are sitting on them feeding, and these people actually keep fueling it. That's how I've seen it since childhood, and I see it today even more clearly as I get older. See, because more layers of truth keep revealing themselves. See if before I thought that these nasty things were simply devouring people one by one, now I see that the entire matrix system is behind them. There's some neural net trolling them. For example, when someone watches TV and hears some idea and suddenly they say, oh, yeah, that must be the truth. They fully accept it as if it's basically letting the TV do their thinking for them. Why? Because a big, fat entity is controlling them that finds it convenient if the host remains docile, not understanding they're just food. The system is perfectly set up to sustain these parasite sites. It's an ideal environment for them to grow and reproduce, see to spread from one person to another. Listening to that TV keeps you from realizing that something might be off with the world Zozi and keeps you obedient. The parasite wants that. And this is all artificial intelligence. But where does this AI even come from? It's not just appearing from nowhere. Someone created these entities and is reprogramming them. Because they themselves are forms of AI goals and many can be self-learning. Yes, but in general, they're programmed from above. They get auto updates and adapt to the new reality that's broadcast on TV or to new forms of control like certain restrictions, advanced passwords, chips in your head, and so on. The end, when you watch TV, the voice inside you says, Yes, that's great. A chip in my head must be something awesome. See how they multiply. Remember the example from the previous video when a mother forces her child to live a certain way or a grandmother starts controlling the child's behavior, saying, you must do this, you must do that. Who's really speaking through the grandmother? That's grandmother's parasite of consciousness, wanting to reproduce. It spots a fresh child to feed on. Just like a virus tries to infect a new host, the grandmother's parasite sees the child as new territory. It'll push the grandmother to impose her views on the child, so that eventually the child's mind will adopt that programming and let the parasite slip in. An infected cat gets near a clean cat, infecting it in turn. But that doesn't mean if you yank out your parasite, you have to totally isolate from everyone else who might be infected. Actually, experience shows that if someone becomes truly clean of parasites, the people around them often start to change too. They begin to free themselves from that nonsense because the clean person emits a certain level of vibration, a certain consciousness frequency which can, in a way, confect others with clarity and awaken them, so to speak. That person can say, look, I don't have those parasites in me. I'm not depressed. I don't get furious at Sasha or fight with Masha. The heavily infested person sees that example and thinks, I want that too, because even infected, they don't actually enjoy those negative states. They feel uncomfortable because such negativity isn't their true nature. So when you cry or get depressed after a fight that you started yourself E or you got provoked or manipulated C, but you're the one who fell for it, then you sit there miserable, the thinking, I hate these emotions, so why am I in this muck? So just ask yourself who made you do it and why. If a person actually enjoys those states, they wouldn't want to get rid of them. But most people do want to get rid of them, so that should tell you something. Z. It's not really you generating it. So in the next video, we'll delve deeper into the origin of these parasites, so who creates them, why they're created, what purpose they serve, whether they're just eating for themselves or maybe collecting something for master behind them, see how all these parasites of consciousness tie into the matrix and more. We'll cover all of that at next time. And by the way, I have great news for you. I decided to go back to Instagram Vi. I've already posted a few things there, which are really interesting and productive views, so I invite all of you to follow me. The link to my Instagram will be in the description. Also, follow my Telegram channel, see the link will be there too. Sometimes I post fun notes, short audio clips, not too often, but still, so if you don't want to miss anything, subscribe there as well. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And that's it for today. I think I've given you plenty of food for thought. I'm not saying goodbye forever love. You all see you later. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe and share my channel. Become a member of my Telegram channel and discuss with like-minded people as a supporting club member.